Report a shot fired at officers trying to stop the vehicle. We have one officer shot.
We got shots fired. Sounded like an automatic firearm.
Copy, code red, shots fired.
We have an active shooter. We have an active shooter inside the warehouse.
Now it's Shots Fired with your hosts TJ Kurgan, Dinah Death Milberg, and the lovely Crystal Powers.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Shots Fired, the Saturday edition. Why are you laughing at me? I haven't even started talking yet.
He's sitting there like he doesn't even know if he's actually on the show.
Oh,
or
you're
just
talking.
sitting there.
You're talking about the notorious FDE. That's normally. I don't. Is that Mike? Is that Mike live?
Yeah.
Are we letting him speak?
Yeah.
Okay.
He just didn't seem to know if he's like actually on the show or just sitting there.
Oh dear God. Welcome to Shots Fired. This is the show that talks about everything Second Amendment and self-defense. We talk about your rights, not only to party in the boogaloo, but also your rights to defend yourself, your family, your home, and how those rights are constantly under attack.
Especially this week.
Yeah, especially this week. So today's Saturday. The show is recorded on Thursday. I'm your host, Sig Glockencolt, a.k.a. TJ Kurgan. Oh, that's kind of backwards. But
Same thing.
Typically, we've got the lovely Crystal Powers, and she is still on hiatus.
Yes.
But today, we have filling in for her not only FDE, but we also have Marc with a C.
What's up, everyone?
What a lame
Marc
name.
Graf.
It takes two of us to replace
Marc is the FFL director at TacticalSht.Official
Aye.
in St. Peter's, and that means he deals with everything guns and suppressors, and now NFA item, arm braces. So
Lame.
arm braces, much to everyone's chagrin, were added. Actually, the rule was added to the National Register on Monday, right?
Yep.
And that means the countdown clock has begun.
Dun, dun.
120 days is what we have before we are all multiple-time felons.
May 31st at midnight.
May 31st at midnight. All right. Well, so we all have decisions to make between now and then, but hopefully, something's going to happen between now and then. That's 120 days. Nothing de facto will happen, but if we've watched what just happened in Illinois, and we watched what has happened with bump stocks, although it took a lot longer than 120 days.
Yes.
We're hoping and expecting some sort of either congressional action through the short act that they're introducing. We're going to talk about that. Some sort of federal court action, like a stay. Like I don't know where his Holy Father is out in California. What's his name? The judge.
I can't ever remember his name.
Oh yeah, it'll
Which
come
is
to me.
sad because we should.
There's four of us sitting here. One of us should remember his name, but the California judge that literally they call him a saint.
Yeah.
He's literally always fighting for the Second Amendment. But anyway, we're hoping for a stay order or something like what just happened in Illinois. Pritzker, our neighbor to the northeast, commie leader, looking to be president of the United States. Can you believe that? He is making a presidential run. And that's not been officially announced, but I was speaking to a Illinois Senate candidate right before this show started, and she told me that she believed that Pritzker is this whole assault weapons ban is his bid for the presidency, like to get his name out there for what he can do. What's that judge's name over there?
Newsom?
Roger. No.
Benitez?
No, Benitez.
Benitez.
We need Judge Benitez to issue a stay order, just like he did with the high capacity magazines.
Yep.
And other things out there in California. But we need that quickly on this arm brace thing. We've only got 120 days before millions of Americans and probably thousands of people listening to this podcast
And most of your staff.
and all of our staff become multiple time felons. I'm not saying I wasn't a felonious before.
I was going to say become.
But
Again.
allegedly.
Allegedly.
And speaking of that,
Theoretically.
it's a really good point, because to put this in perspective, if you decide that you're going to Malone Labit and you're going to say, come and take it, and you're going to challenge the king, and you're not going to take that arm brace off there, it is the same penalty, I believe, Marc, as drilling that third hole and having that full auto sear
Might as well
installed.
go full send.
10 years prison and
Yes.
$250,000 fine.
Yeah, so literally an arm brace at the end of this 120 days, if you have not taken one of the 4 options they've given you, it will be the same as owning an illegal machine gun.
No difference in having a hoppity hop switch on your Glockity Glock.
I like it. The hoppity hop on the Glockity Glock.
That's good.
Yeah. So, what are we going to do here? How should we even position
Become
this?
felons?
Well, so the lawsuits are flying, right?
Well, he found out some interesting.
He being Marc, we're
Yes.
not on the video.
Yeah.
There we go.
We're talking. So, found out something interesting.
This is very
The
interesting.
Gun
actually.
Control Act of 1934,
Okay.
that one that set up the NFA, all the items, the tax that is imposed when you file a Form 1 or Form 4,
Correct.
that tax is controlled by the
The IRS. Yes.
Correct. The ATF does not have the legal authority to waive IRS taxes.
I believe that is true. Yes. They can't create laws and they can't waive taxes.
Yes.
Because they have nothing to do with the IRS.
So is the IRS going to come after the ATF for tax fraud? Or are they
I
gonna turn around
believe
and
that
come
the
after these
ATF
people?
would be so by the ATF in their rulemaking, by them eliminating, by saying you don't have to pay that tax, that would be entrapment.
Yeah.
On the case of if the IRS came after you, but in my opinion, it would be, and I'm going to use one of the federal government's favorite words, conspiracy to commit tax fraud. Or tax evasion, I should say.
Yeah.
So the ATF is actually committing conspiracy against the IRS. I love it. I love some of the angles that are coming to bear with some of these lawsuits and some of these challenges. I've got a couple pulled up here, but so do you know anything about the lawsuits that are coming out? I mean,
I've just heard it's
so
been
far
one
there's
after another.
Yeah, there's
after
just
another.
one after another
Firearms
in
Policy
Texas.
Coalition, the NRA has done
Yeah,
one.
GOA.
Yeah, GOA.
They're all firing off their lawsuits. Lawsuit printer go Brrrrt.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and so all these things, if they can get quick hearings and if they can get the right judges to hear this, we may actually see some sort of stay. But I think we should definitely talk about what some Republicans, is it Rubio maybe, that is introducing the Short Act, or they're trying to bring a bill to bear.
Yeah.
And there's also some other things that they're trying to do within Congress to stop this, because an act of Congress is the only way this rule could become law or should become law.
Yeah.
Correct.
And so it is risky having Congress take this action, but they're the only ones with the right to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So we've got that to talk about. We've got a lot of other things
There's
to
a
talk
lot
about.
going on.
We're going to talk about the U.S. Coast Guard today.
Yeah.
Something we don't talk about much because you don't think
Shallow
about
water
the
sailors?
Coast Guard. Yeah, we don't think about them much here in Missouri. They operate on the Lake of the Ozarks and in the Mississippi River and, and whatnot. But you typically think of the U.S. Coast Guard as, a maritime, homeland defense.
Yeah.
Right. But we're gonna talk about what they're doing in Oman. And
It's a little weird.
Yeah, and all over the South Pacific, and in the what's the other big puddle over there that's by all the sandy people? What's that big lake called? Come on.
The Black Sea?
No, it's not the Black Sea. It's the.
That's not by Russia.
It's a sea though. It's a sea.
The Arabian Gulf.
The Dead Sea?
No, it's not the
Bering.
Dead Sea. No, it's not the Bering Sea. The Bering Sea's in Alaska.
Yeah.
It has nothing to
The
do with
Arabian Gulf.
sandy people. I don't know. It's where we fired all the rockets into Iraq for the shock and awe. The shock and awe came from this sea. What is that called?
Pretty sure it's the Arabian Gulf.
It's the Persian Gulf.
Persian Gulf.
Persian Gulf. You guys were absolutely no help. Can you imagine me going to like an NRA trivia night with these dudes?
I was at least in the region.
We're on
This guy's over in Alaska.
We're on firearms, not geography.
It's cold outside.
Oh, by the way, TacticalSht
I
has been celebrating Black Firearms History Month.
Yes.
Starting yesterday.
Yes.
Yep.
We're actually we're going to talk about that too, because every day in February, there's only 28 of them right now. Every day in February, we are honoring a different visionary behind the gun.
Excellent.
Now, that's not only the visionaries that invented the gun, like Moses Browning, John Moses Browning, and guys like Mr. Kalashnikov himself.
Yes.
And Eugene Stoner. But we're also honoring guys that were literally behind the gun, like Chris Kyle. Right? Today, the day this is being recorded, is February 2nd. It's Thursday. You're hearing it on Saturday. But today is actually the memorial of Chris Kyle's murder.
Correct.
At that shooting range with his buddy, where he was murdered by...
the government.
Well, that's not allegedly. The allegedly is he was murdered by a PTSD veteran that should have never had a gun.
That he was just going to help, went to the range.
But it was really the government. We're going to also celebrate guys like John Noveski.
Yes.
Who were visionary men behind the gun.
So they were killed by the government.
Weren't necessarily innovators as much as they were just quality ambassadors of the weapon of war itself, and he was also
killed by the government.
Yeah,
weird.
So we'll be celebrating men like that all month long, and if you want to celebrate that with us, be sure to join the SHT list, because once you're on the IT list, it gets interesting. You do that by going to shop.tacticalblank.com and scroll to the bottom and join the email list. We'll be back in just a few minutes. And we're back talking about government infringement on your rights this weekend. Good morning. It's TJ Kurgan, a.k.a. Sig Glock and Cold. This is Shots Fired. We got the whole crew with us. We got FDE. We got Marc with a C. And we got Alex Dyna Death Milberg. And we're talking about the SHORT Act that was introduced this week. Actually, on Monday, the same day they put the arm brace rule in the National Register. Representative Andrew Clyde, Republican from Georgia, vowed to make the U.S. government stop harassing owners of rifles today. Stop harassing owners of rifles today, which, by the way, the acronym is SHORT. And
tricky.
Yeah, that was pretty freaking clever, you know? Obviously not Marines working for these representatives in Congress. They must be Army. Is that what you said?
So they're all trans?
They're all trans. Let's see. The law would remove short-barreled rifles, aka SBRs, from the National Firearms Act, or the NFA.
And AOW.
Yeah, and AOWs. So what they are trying to do, and this is now actually happened. What I was just reading there was what they were saying they were going to do. Now they've actually done it. Senator John Kennedy he's a Republican from Louisiana. Roger Marshall from Kansas. They actually introduced the SHORT Act. So a bunch of Republicans are behind this thing. It says here, quote, the Biden administration is going to keep looking for ways to penalize law-abiding gun owners unless Congress makes their rights clear. A brace that countless disabled Americans used to exercise their Second Amendment rights should not be regulated by unelected anti-gun bureaucrats, and this bill would force the Biden ATF to stop devising new restrictions for legal firearms. And it goes on to basically say that the SHORT Act, what they're hoping is, what these congressmen are hoping, is that the SHORT Act can be basically the backfire to the rule, right?
One of the cool parts about this act is on the very end of it, it does ask for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms to destroy all the records relating to.
I have that.
The transfers, registrations, manufacturers.
Section 6.
Yeah, so
Section 6.
Any list that they got, gone.
Okay.
It states right here, Section 6A, in general, not later than 365 days after the date of the enactment of this act, the Attorney General shall destroy, 1, any registration of an applicable weapon maintained in the NFA registration and transfer record pursuant to Section 5841 of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986. Any application to transfer filed under that. Any application to make filed under that. That's huge.
I think it is
That's huge.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is an act that has to go through the Senate. And then it has to be signed by the president, right?
They've just got to attach it to something stupid that will go right through.
So another cool part of it that you guys didn't bring up, the only thing that would be taxed after this would be any other weapons, and that's only capped at $5.
Yeah.
So goodbye $200 tax stamp. Hello, transporting it across state lines.
SBRs for every.
Yeah, you'd be able to transport your SBRs, your suppressors. Yeah. It would also effectively destroy the machine gun market for as far as the value of machine guns, and there may lie a problem where this act would run into some issue in the Senate, because let's say the Republicans controlled the Senate, which they don't, not even close, but let's say they did. I still don't think this would make it through the Senate because there would be so many of the aristocrats that own the machine guns that have bought them as investments, including myself, that would be essentially, financially destroyed if the NFA was dissolved. Now, if they could figure out a way to chip away at the NFA, I think it'd be better. I think if they could get rid of short barrel rifles off of the NFA
and suppressors.
But that's I don't. Is that really included in the Short Act?
No,
I don't think
it
so.
should be.
So if they get short barreled rifles, that's the goal of the Short Act. Leave the machine guns for now.
Yeah.
Leave the suppressors until a safe act or an ear safe act or a hearing act or something. Another one comes along that actually can get through. But let's get the short barreled rifles off there. Because, and this is probably the best argument I've heard ever for the arm brace thing. All right? Well, seriously, listen to me on this. I'm not being facetious. If it's legal to have a Draco AK, but it's not legal to have an arm brace or a stock on said Draco AK, and you put that Draco AK in the hand of a criminal, all right? Now, criminals don't give a crap about the laws, so whatever. So let's say it's a non-criminal who has lost his mind and he's now going to go shoot up a place, but he doesn't have a stock. The chances of him hitting the people he's not aiming at,
slim to none.
The people he's not aiming at.
High.
What I'm saying is the arm brace, one of the arguments that they're bringing forth to go against the arm brace rule is the fact that the arm brace makes these short rifles safer by making them more accurate.
Yeah, that's actually a fair argument.
And so you put it in the hands of a gangbanger. Put a Draco with a stock in a gang. I would much rather, well, not if they're shooting at me, but if they always joke, if the gangbangers are shooting at you with the AK, just stand still. You'll be fine.
It's true.
But in this case, if you want the gangbanger to hit his target, which is theoretically another gangbanger, and not the baby in the house down the street, don't you think a stock or an arm brace would be better?
That's why we talked about teaching firearms handling and tactics to gangbangers so they can effectively kill each other off, but not innocent people. It's the right thing to do.
Just take each other out.
That's terrible.
I love it. So what you're saying is we should have
it's the hood protection
ODA Green Berets come in to meet with the indigenous populations of urban areas and arm them and train them against each other using the help of the CIA.
Kind of like they did with the cartels.
And basically put stocks on all their Dracos.
Yeah, it's called the HPA, the Hood Protection
Can you
Act.
imagine how accurate a Glock with a wish switch would be if it had a stock on it or an arm brace?
Yeah, allegedly, I've heard stories from down under.
Well, we did have the binary triggers. So
that's true.
That's
true. Yeah.
I've shot a lot of full auto Glocks, and they're with legal switches on them. like SOT7.
You can't
switches.
hit anything.
Yeah, you can't. Well, you can hit the ceiling.
That's about it.
And at an indoor range, guaranteed, first time you ever shoot it,
I would want
you're
one
smoking the ceiling tiles.
Snow goose season.
Snow goose season. A
would work.
Glock with its switch would be good.
Duck season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done the full auto Glocks as well, with and without the stock, and they're just not fun to shoot.
I'll be honest, I never have. I've never shot one.
They're just not fun to shoot.
No, it's gone before you even realize you're having fun.
The cyclical rate is so fast.
Yeah.
The mags don't last long enough.
And I'm like,
you're gonna shoot your hand off eventually.
After shooting one of those, I know how my wife feels.
I'm like most women. I don't like the rhythm to be too fast.
I don't like something that small going that fast on my hand.
That's what your wife said. Shazam!
Wow.
Hey, that's almost the end of the show. We might as well do an ad for Tactical SH.
This might be the end of the show.
T. Yes, we got to spell faster. Crystal is way better at this than you and looks better when she does it.
Oh, that's not shocking.
Right now at Tactical SH, T in St. Peter's, we just got a whole new shipment of night vision. Tell us about it. You have 14 seconds to tell us about night vision and how we're the only ones that have them.
That's all that's important. White phosphor, dual tubes, RNVGs, PVS-14s, and IR lasers.
So you
all
can
in
get
stock,
so you can
ready to
get
go.
you can get green,
You can get everything you
white,
need.
you
Yeah.
can get singles, you can get binos, and they started around $2,500 with a mount and a helmet. And they go all the way up to $10,000 or $11,000.
Correcto.
So no matter what level of baller you are,
We got 'em.
We got those NVGs
Come
for you at the
spend your
store.
tax return the right way.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Boys, bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? When you were 8 and you had bad traits, you go for you.
All right, you guys ready? This is the long one.
That's what she said. All right, we're back on the air thanks to Drew, the producer. It's a whole lot of testosterone in this room today.
There is. There's a lot of beer.
We need you here, Crystal. We need you here to balance us out because we are getting dangerously close to saying things that the FCC, the DEA, the FBI,
The
the
seed oil
IRS,
police.
the CDC, they're all coming after us. NASA. Well, maybe because you're so high down there. Jeez. So Illinois, speaking of being high, Governor Pritzker has, they banned the assault weapons over there. So if you are a farmer in Marion or Carbondale, and you have an AR-15, you have to register it with the state.
They've been coming in so angry.
Oh yeah,
They're so angry.
If you're listening to this in Illinois, we want to make sure you understand that we are in Missouri, just a hop, skip, and a jump across the bridge.
Yeah.
And we don't like your government. We don't care about your laws.
No.
There's nothing in the federal law that says we can't sell you anything that's legal in Missouri when you're here, unless you're except for guns, right? We can't sell you.
Correct.
Can't sell you guns.
Those have to transfer.
But we can sell you all the high capacity magazines and stuff that you need.
Bullets,
And
the armors, the ammos.
We've got it all.
Night vision.
We would love for you to import that into Illinois just to warm our hearts. But anyway, Pritzker. So the assault weapons ban, even though it was signed into law in the middle of the night, and it immediately became law. There was no lead time. There was no run up. They learned from California not to do those sort of things.
As all shady infringement usually goes.
And it was stopped about a week ago by an Effingham judge. 945 local Effingham County gun owners signed a lawsuit along with some local gun shops saying that it was unconstitutional.
Yeah.
And that Effingham judge issued a stay order. And what I was under the understanding was that that stay order was only for those 945 defendants.
Correct.
Those defendants and the gun stores.
Now, you guys say that now, but according to the Illinois politician that I just spoke to, Mrs. Hubbard, or a future Illinois politician, I don't know if she's been elected yet, she's claiming that it recently came out like today or yesterday that stay covers the whole state.
Nice.
And so,
really?
Yeah. So I don't have any more detail than that. I am not a lawyer, so please don't take this as legal advice. But, according to her, that stay does affect the whole state. And now on top of that, there's only 3 counties in the entire state that have said that they will enforce the law.
All around Chicago.
All around Chicago.
Shocker.
Hold
Who
on.
would've guessed
Chicago. Springfield, right, where all the liberal politicians are, and St. Clair County, right across the bridge here in St. Louis.
Really?
Yep, St. Clair County.
That's not shocking.
4061. If you're gonna drive in Illinois with your choppa, I highly recommend you take 255 because you want to stay out of that St. Clair County.
Friday night.
Yeah, but anyway, we should probably try to check on that and see if there's any more info out there. But that's what I'm getting from boots on the ground in the ill side.
Interesting. I was not. We had one of the named plaintiffs on that case in the shop yesterday, and all these guys are coming in. They're really heated and pissed off. It's good to see. This is not one of those. Like, there was a different mood when the whole bump fire stock thing happened. The guys, yeah, whatever. I'm just gonna complain to. No, not the case this time with the Illinois thing or the braces. People are heated this time. So, this is not the bump stock time.
So I'm reading a article on ABC7, and they are actually talking about this being equal for the entire state. And they're saying that since the appellate court also rejected arguments that the General Assembly violated Illinois constitutional requirements that the bills deal only with one subject. That it might be like null and void.
Yeah, it might violate Illinois' own constitution, not just the federal constitution. Which means they can strike it down at the state level, which means that the federal judges wouldn't even have to get involved.
Yep.
That'd be the fastest way to get rid of that bill.
It really would be the fastest way because as soon as it goes federal, it's just going to sit there.
Yeah, there is a lot of money in rural Illinois that's going to be fighting this thing.
That's all the farm owners.
Yeah,
that's where all the money
farms
is.
and ranches and stuff like that. I've worked for a lot of those men. I've done a ton of work in Illinois with clients over the years, and I know them, and they like their guns.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the Illinois really needs to, and they've talked about it, they need to break it off. Northern Illinois can stay Illinois, and Southern Illinois can become like Missouri and Kentucky.
Sell Northern Illinois to Indiana.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about Indiana.
Yeah. If Southern Illinois became Missouri, I would move to Marion Carbondale.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
It's a pretty area.
Yeah, it's a beautiful area. There's nobody down there.
Well, that's true.
That's
That's
the
true.
point.
That's true. Good point.
So, have you heard of FRAK?
Yeah, like fracking.
No. FRAK is the organization, the biggest organization. It's basically all the gun companies that manufacture guns with arm braces, as well as Sig Sauer, who is the original arm brace developer. Right? It used to be Sig Arm Brace, then it became SB Tactical. When they decided, well, we probably ought to move this one off into a different name. That way, it doesn't mess with our military contracts.
Yeah.
But anyway, they've all basically created a consortium in the industry, and they're pooling their money together for a huge offensive against the federal government.
Good.
And I've got some friends on the inside that have brought some really good points. FRAK itself has even admitted that the NRA is all in. So the NRA, which is typically the sleeping giant, like it had nothing to say about bump stocks. It really hasn't done much of anything useful in the last several years. They are pouring money into FRAK to help us fight this thing. So some good news about the NRA. Matter of fact, it says FRAK confirmed that even the NRA is ready to fund up to 50% of the legal cost associated with the upcoming fight in court.
Wow, that's a huge amount of money.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Yeah, so thank God, that might cut into the CEO's clothing budget,
airplane and dinner budget.
He might not be able to wear diamond cufflinks next month.
It's rough. It's rough times.
Gotta get rid of one of his Bentleys.
Yeah, rough times all around.
He's got more than one Bentley. I'm thinking about getting one of those. I like those.
You should.
I think I should. Let's see here. So I've got a buddy. He's a he's a three-gunner firearms instructor. On Instagram, his name's Sean Go Boom, and he works for Brrrrt and Tomet right now. B&T, and he's been putting out some really interesting positions on the whole arm brace thing. So like for this one, 40 million brace pistols in possession of people who are more than likely lean right to the center of the political spectrum, right?
Agreed.
Chances of you being a Republican or a conservative voter and owning an arm brace are pretty darn good. All right. These people are now in danger of becoming felons for legally owning a firearm configuration in common use, which is key word, for over a decade.
Yeah.
Okay. Convicted felons can't legally own guns and can't vote. Mm-hmm. So is there a political motivation to the brace rule? So if it is really a trap, and it really does make us all felonies, after the 88 days, and background check doesn't come back, so it's a denial, and then an enforcement action is taken. Now we're a felon. Now we can't vote or own a gun, and they basically just neutered a huge percentage of the firearm voters in this country.
I really don't think it's any more like government motivated than anything like prohibition or anything.
Yeah, no,
there's no.
They really care about our safety.
Prohibition, or,
Well, but what I'm saying is, was prohibition a way to control voting? I know liberals and Republicans that like to drink.
Yeah.
Right. So I think prohibition actually affects both parties. This rule, trying to pretend to be a law, is affecting really only one party, only one mindset, and much like One American News and Newsmax being taken off of DirecTV and Dish and all these big networks to silence the right. This could be another, kind of like putting us on the cattle train. Mm-hmm. One step further to putting us on the cattle train.
It's an interesting theory.
Check this out. The ATF is currently claiming that a bare buffer tube, a pistol buffer. You know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm saying that. I meant that to be the people listening. I know you know what that is. So a bare buffer tube on an AR pistol will not count as surface area.
Yep. Correct.
Considered when determining your gun can be shouldered and thus defined as a rifle. However, on page 102 of the rule, they also admit that they could change their mind.
Correct.
Yeah.
They also, I sat in a briefing the other day, they also stated that a rifle buffer tube, so if you have a brace like the SBA 3, SBA, I think 4 does it as well.
SBM 5 or M4,
Where you can adjust the length of pull on a rifle on a rifle buffer tube.
You can actually just remove that brace and you're legal now.
Okay,
Wait a minute. I thought when I read the rule, now you were on the ATF FFL webinar for hours, right?
It's and so an hour and a half.
I've only read the rule, and I've probably only read it cursory. I thought you had to remove the brace and make it so the brace could not be put back on, and then brace back on with a click.
So their wording on that was, yes, you can remove the brace. Rifle buffer tube is still legal. You have to get the brace out of your house.
Okay. So I can put it in the bush in the front yard?
I guess. Mailbox.
Where does intent start?
Where does constructive intent start?
We tried to drag them into that. That is something they would not answer, refused to answer, as well as they were asked if they were even legally allowed to waive the tax on SBRs. That's where I got my...
But their answer to you was yes.
Yes, they said yes and then moved very quickly to the next question.
Well, here is it.
Does the IRS have a live chat agent by chance?
Maybe it's one of the new 87,000.
Oh, yeah, good point. I forgot about that.
Are you doing these webinars from work?
No, of course he is.
Well, yeah.
We are an FFL.
Okay. I'm so glad that we're hiding our ideas.
No, we're not trolling the ATF. We're actually a gun dealer.
Yeah, no, these are legitimate questions.
Yeah, we're know where you live.
FFL 01, SOT 03. We kind of have licensing that we need to ask them these questions.
I was like, don't do these from home. They'll know where you live.
That's fine. They already do. I'm on how many lists?
So on page 102, it says, in making the determination of whether surface area allows for shoulder firing, ATF will not attempt to precisely measure the surface area or make a determination based on the existence of any minimum surface area. Instead, ATF will consider whether the firearm that can be used to shoulder fire, whether there is any surface area on the firearm that can be used to shoulder fire the weapon.
Correct.
So it is so ridiculous.
I'm just waiting for the agent to be running
in all
the
honesty
rifle in his face. Just
So having read through all these rules, laws, proposed BS numerous times, the Illinois one, as much as I hate it, was actually written much better than the one by the ATF.
Yeah.
It was a lot better written, had a lot fewer chances for loopholes.
Well, speaking of Illinois, you know that everybody that lives in Illinois that has an arm-braced rifle can't register it with the ATF because SBRs are already and have been illegal in Illinois. And according to the ATF, if you plan to register your braced pistol in a state where SBRs are illegal, your Form 1 will be denied by ATF and they will notify local law enforcement.
Correct.
Because it's a trap.
Another thing that they said that really annoyed me, being that we sell firearms. So if you purchased a firearm from our website, say the 29th of January, it gets shipped out. It is being mailed to your FFL. Mm-hmm. When they receive it after the 31st of January, they cannot transfer that gun to you. They cannot give that gun back to the manufacturer, FFL it came from. They have to destroy that gun or make it so that it is not part of that ruling, i.e. 16-inch barrel. So you don't even get the product you paid for.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. Scary times. just to make sure that if any gun shops listening, you know, if you have to turn in anything or if you have anything that has to be destroyed or any costs associated with this, make sure to save those receipts and those records because when the lawsuits are over, the government's going to owe you some money. We'll be back after this.
What you gonna do? No break.
You know, I wish I had my bump stocks back.
Right? Well, maybe soon. It
Yeah,
sounds
we
like
still
soon.
just if you're listening to this in the St. Louis area and you ever want to pay homage to the day freedom died, we actually have a bump stock memorial at TacticalSht in St. Peter's. I almost did it myself. It's a giant rock, what I call a BFR, in the parking lot, and there is a bump stock that we melted into the rock with a flamethrower in order to. Disable it and not make it a weapon of war anymore, and also to give somebody a place to come get down on one knee.
That's true.
Pray to the gods of freedom.
Pay homage.
Plastic machine guns.
Yes. Speaking of that, the news. Now, we've talked in prior shows that the 5th District has basically said the bump stock ban is unconstitutional, that the ATF can't make laws, and that President Trump was wrong for what he did. And here's how that works, okay? I know a lot about this because I sold a lot of bump stocks and I'm not best friends, we're besties. I'm really good friends with the CEO and inventor of bump stock, the CEO of Slide Fire, Jeremiah Cottle. He's been keeping me up to date on what's going on.
Yeah.
And so it is now legal to manufacture, sell, purchase, own, possess, and shoot bump stocks in the 3 states that make up the 5th district of the federal court system, which I believe is Illinois, Louisiana. No, not Illinois. Not Illinois. Not Illinois. It's Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Yep. And so, interestingly enough, Jeremiah called me the other night. And he was fueling up his truck, and they were on their way to Pennsylvania from Texas to get the tooling, to get the molds, because bump stocks are going back into production in Texas really soon.
Nice.
How exciting is that? They sent a letter to the DOJ and the ATF and any other responsible law enforcement agencies that were involved. The letter was sent from the legal team at Slide Fire, and basically it said, hey, our interpretation of the 5th District ruling is that we can manufacture these in Texas and we can sell them in these 3 states. We intend to do so. You have until this date to tell us if there's a problem with that. Otherwise, we're proceeding with our plans. And he said there's been radio silence, not a single response from the federal government. So they are pressing forward. I'm announcing this for the first time right here on this show. Bump stocks are going back in production. You will not be able to get them from us, sadly.
Nope.
Until they are 50 state legal, or I'm sorry, lower 48 contiguous states legal.
Give or take a few.
You know, we're not going to sell a product that we can only sell in 3 states. But we will help them get the word out. We're going to document the whole thing. And it's a pretty cool deal. So if now there is, rulings in other districts that are contradictory. Right. So that forces it to go to the Supreme Court. So this will go to the Supreme Court. That will take more time.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, if the Supreme Court refuses to hear it, instantly it's 48 state legal. Just by the Supreme Court refusing to hear it, that's D-Day. Okay. If the Supreme Court does hear it, obviously that will delay the 48 state legality. Even longer, but then, obviously it could go either way, depending on what the Supreme Court decides from their take on it. So that is where we're at with bump stocks. And the only reason I think it's really big news is because, even the ATF in their arm brace rule referenced the bump stock as a historic thing to look at when deciding what to do with your arm brace.
So it could go along the same way.
It should. Although the bump stock device itself became illegal, the arm brace device is not illegal.
Yeah.
Correct. Only the manufacturing, the installation of an arm brace to a gun is what they're considering illegal, and or the possession of it after the fact. House. Yeah.
I think the FPC, just to catch off real quick, I think the FPC brings up the
Firearms Policy Coalition
brings up an interesting point that the ATF can't actually make laws. I mean, those have to go to Congress, and this is not just an overreaching of their power.
I mean, how do you enforce something that's not a law? How do you enforce that?
It's a non-balance of power, which is, America was kind of built on checks and balances.
Yeah.
And this is an unchecked.
They've gone unchecked for a while. Because, I mean, explain to me how on earth I could get arrested and go to jail for committing something that's not technically a crime because no law was broken.
Yeah.
Yep. You bought them in good faith. You were told they were legal. And now all of a sudden you're a criminal.
I have a piece of paper from the company that sold the brace from the ATF stating that this is legal.
You don't even need that. Their ruling has every single one right there for you.
So, I mean, are you even going to get arrested for this? How can you?
I know it's probably not the best analogy, but looking at like the car market, for a long time there was only certain types of lights, certain colors of red tail lights you could have on a car. And blue dots were real popular with hot rods. Certain colors of headlights you could have on your car because if they were too blue, it was blinding other people. Now you go around, you see all kinds of headlights and taillights on cars. Sometimes you don't know if they're coming or going. Those aren't really enforced. Is the firearm, rule going to go the same way?
It's a good point.
I came up with an idea earlier that would make the leftists happy and get their gun laws and make us all happy because we wouldn't care.
Split the country.
Well, that too. That's been tried. It's been tried once.
Come on, Texas.
And I'm saying this somewhat tongue in cheek, but what if they took this law, this rule that they're arbitrarily, and instead of making people that are, law-abiding citizens felons, say, okay, this is the rule now. However, we're not going to enforce it unless it is secondary to the commission of another crime.
That seems fair.
So the simple possession is not a crime. However, if you use it in a crime,
then it's
extra charges added on.
Yeah,
I have no problem with that.
No,
at least in theory, because then you're only punishing the criminal. And what a lot of people are going to say is, oh well, then it does nothing to prevent the crime. Well,
rules don't in general.
Doesn't prevent crime anyway. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure crime is illegal. Crime has always been illegal. It doesn't matter what it is. Crime is illegal.
Shooting at people is illegal.
And not in every circumstance.
In the U.S.
Oh. Yeah.
Not in every circumstance.
Not
in every circumstance. We have castle law. We have stand your ground. There's all kinds of ways I could pop rounds at you. Come at me, bro.
4th of July, people stand on both sides of the bank of the arch and shoot at each other. It's like battleship.
You saw that story too.
Hey, you know what? We didn't talk about the Coast Guard or anything else really in this show, and it's almost over.
I mean, no one does.
Yeah, well. So I saw a story this morning about the Coast Guard seizing some ridiculous amount of methamphetamine and I think heroin or something in the Gulf of Oman. And off a fishing trawler.
These camel races are getting out of control.
And I'm like, what is the Coast Guard doing in the Gulf of Oman? And I realized, I know we've talked about it in the past, that they do this for training. They go to dangerous areas and do dangerous things. But don't you think it'd be a little bit better if the Coast Guard boats were back here protecting our waters and maybe keeping out the
drug runners?
Yeah, the drug runners.
They really mess up the cocaine runs though.
Yeah.
Well, hold on, because I have something on that.
Well, evidently, there's another story about because I dug a little deeper. Evidently, the Coast Guard is getting involved in a lot of these multi-jurisdictional international partnerships where they're actually policing waters of other island nations. And that kind of upsets me. And then I found out one of the things that they're policing, and then that kind of doesn't upset me. So I'm kind of stuck in the middle here. One of the things they're after is it's called IUU, and I don't remember what the acronym is, but basically illegal fishing, right? Okay. So China is sending out fleets of fishing ships to fish in other people's waters and doing it illegally. OPP?
I watched a video on that actually of one of those Chinese fishing boats getting destroyed by some country's attack helicopter.
I was going to say that was South Park.
Yeah, it's literally the easiest acronym. Illegal, unreported, in unregistered
unregulated fishing. Yeah, IUU. And
IUU.
I'm all for that. I think that that's smart because now we're protecting, the food of the world from China's, criminal globalism. But I don't necessarily understand why the Coast Guard is doing drug interdictions in the Gulf of Oman.
Well, especially with this. U.S. government monitoring Iranian warships deployed to Western Hemisphere will dock in Brazil and Panama.
Really?
Yeah.
And did you see that Brazil has a ship out in the ocean right now? It's an old aircraft carrier that's full of asbestos, and they tried to take it to like Turkey to destroy it. And Turkey's like, you can't bring that here. And so now, and then Brazil's like, you can't bring that back. So they're literally going to scuttle this thing full of asbestos out in the middle of the ocean.
Oh, that'll be good for the fish.
That's really good for the fish.
That helps.
Somebody's got to stop Brazil from doing that. Hey, we'll be at war with China in just a couple years. We'll talk about that next week. See you guys later. Have a good Saturday.